The world of Dragon Quest is one of much beauty, but that beauty often hides a world where evil, suffering, and death exist just barely out of sight. Within the world's history there lies secrets that paint a picture of this world's hidden past. Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Gentleman, and today we explore the game's earliest dungeon in hope of understanding this world more. What was the purpose of the Dreamer's Tower? Aliahan, as we know, was once a world power which had a warrior culture. But from our last theory, we surmise the tall and mysterious Dreamer's Tower must have played some sort of role in that lore. In previous iterations, this location was known as the Najima Tower. Najima means distinguished in Japanese, denoting this place was one of great prominence. This is no surprise as the castle had a direct route to it. Both the exterior and interior of these towers have had various shades of fantasy medieval architecture throughout the games. But of all the overhauls, 3 HD-2D has underwent some of the most drastic redesigns in the series. Contrasting Aliahan's well-off fantasy Middle Ages appearance, the Dreamer's Tower is different from almost anything in the area. The building uses these strange, four-pronged pillars to uphold itself. The etchings and symbology are foreign to the region. Hori is an avid fan of architecture, having traveled the world to observe buildings to serve as bases for the ones we see in his games. Simply traversing through Dragon Quest III makes this apparent, but little in the ancient world quite resembles the Dreamer's Tower with its more original fantasy elements. And yet, despite its esoteric elements, the masonry is still grey and old, granting it an archaic feeling. The tower, much like its underground counterpart, thus manages to be both ancient and advanced at the same time. The only comparable structure in this region is this small shrine containing a teleportal. It too is seemingly foreign from this land. Its overall stonework and faded markings tell us how potentially old it may be. Entry requires a specialized implement such as the Final Key, a tool thought lost to history. The fact that the underground passage links the tower and this building is perhaps more proof that these were connected in some way. By association, these may tell us further how their engineers were from an older time, and yet were advanced in so many ways. Looking within the tower, we begin to discover more intriguing clues. In previous iterations, 5 unassuming dragons adorn the first floor of the structure, but now we have 6 spread across the first floor. More have been added to populate the upper floors as well. The size of these sculptures have also been enlarged so that one cannot help but notice that they are this area's centerpiece. This is not the end of dragon symbology associated with historical Aliahan as well. What has always been an unusual aspect of the hero is his shield. It features a pair of crossed arming swords that have D-guards with a dragon's head above them. By bearing blades on their tool of survivability, this lines up with ancient Aliahan and its warrior culture. As of the HD-2D version, we now have the added knowledge that not only was Ortega a warrior, but that his father was one as well, perhaps indicating that this is a line of soldiers, and thus, the shield is an inheritance from an older era. Also, many paintings in this game repeat over and over again, but the grandfather has a painting of a ship that is unique to his room. Perhaps it reinforces the idea of Aliahan warriors out at sea from an older age. But what of the juxtaposition with a dragon? Does this imagery imply to metaphorically have the spirit of a dragon? Or that a dragon's spirit be with them? Or perhaps even warfare on behalf of a dragon? It affirms how important symbolism was to this age. Lastly, I direct you to a trio of arches with a center brick feature in West Aliahan. The makeup of the stonework is out of place when compared to the rest of the city. They more reflect the tower, the underground, and the Path of Promise. They are showing their age with cracks and overgrowth in an otherwise upkept city. Now, the tower's center brick arches show a diamond-like design, The Path of Promise features a royal symbol, but the Aliahan Arch's center brick has faded with time. But looking closely, one can see the image of what may be a dragon, meaning that this imagery may have once filled this city as well. It is possible that the dragon was simply a symbol Aliahan wished to represent itself with. Many nations within the upper world do so. In Romeria, it is the lion. In Edina, the unicorn. In Ibis, this colorful bird. However, from searching the halls of Aliahan Castle, its symbol is the eagle. Outside of the arches, there is not a hint of dragon iconography anywhere else in the country. Inspecting the Dreamer's Tower dragons further, they have two horns curved upwards, side horns, a pair of wings, horns protruding from said wings, straightened toes, spinal spikes aiming toward its rear, and they have a majestic quality to them. They actually do not resemble the traditional dragon of the series with its horns curved downwards, a lack of wings, and a playful but menacing countenance. In fact, looking at the entire franchise's bestiary, there are less quadruped dragons who adorn wings than one would think. Many of the ones who do lack a traditional dragon appearance. They appear mostly in the Monsters sub-franchise, and none of them are in Dragon Quest III. In fact, the one dragon that comes somewhat close to matching this look is the Dragon Queen. But before we jump to any conclusions, let us return to the Dreamer's Tower with the possibility of this draconic connection in mind. Why is it called the Dreamer's Tower? The obvious answer seems to be because of this strange old man who dreams at the top. But that does not tell the whole story. When you begin the game, soldiers speak of a thief named Kirk Buzzer, now imprisoned, who used the thief key he fashioned to commit robbery. According to Kirk Buzzer himself, the old man, who we can tell in our short meeting with him does not seem to leave his home much, orchestrated an ambush of the thief to take the key. How was this frail, elderly man capable of this? Remember, the old dreamer states that he often has dreams of handing you the key despite originally not possessing it. If you return after using it and say yes to his question, he says, "My dreams are never wrong," meaning he has prophetic visions quite often. There is one small thing I fail to mention about the tower's design. Very out of place is its modernized triangular house roof. Beneath this is the Dreamer's Room, which is the only portion of the tower that has refurbishing of modern Aliahan design. It also contains a pair of Aliahan royal banners. I would surmise he is an honored citizen, but the king does not seem to know who he is. Regardless, the point is that someone bothered to remodel this place. Thus, it bears asking, why would he need to do this to a monster-ridden tower? And how did he gain such a strange power? In the HD-2D version, the Dreamer has had his dialogue expanded. Commenting on why he has these dreams, he says, "Heaven knows why." It's an interesting little phrase. In the past, no one thought much of the voice during the personality quiz in the game's beginning. But the expanded dialogue and the voice acting emphasizes the figure's divine nature, or, as we will learn, the nature of a divine servant who has been intervening in world events. In fact, many people in the HD-2D version have had their dialogue expanded to imply a kind of divine guidance. Could it be that the old man was guided in a dream to know when and where Kirk Buzzer would be, so that he could orchestrate an ambush? As for the old dreamer himself, all he wants to do is sleep because there are many dreams he is seeking out. He has made his home here, and that is all he wishes to do. First off, the man's attitude, quickly wishing to return to his dreams, comes off as if it's an addiction. As if once the dreaming habit began, he could not stop. He does not want to stop. Secondly, consider his great knowledge of the kingdom. He slyly tells you the Wrecking Ball's inventor likes visitors when he really does not. Was this informed by his dreams? Are the intensity of his given visions so powerful that they must have a great source? And now consider again the question of why renovate the top floor of a monster-infested haven. Why does he have to be here? Is it possible that there is something about the room itself that may be causing him to have the dreams? One must ask the question, is it the Dreamer's Tower because of the elderly man? Or is it that the tower itself has always been associated with dreams? Did it become the Dreamer's Tower because of the Dreamer? Or was it that it was always because this was the Dreamer's Tower that this man who we call the Dreamer came here? If the latter is true, then perhaps that means the Dreamer's Tower is actually some kind of spiritual conduit, one where gods could touch the minds of men. That in the past, clergymen could come here to receive divine oracles from any number of the higher draconic beings, whether it be the Cloud's Gate dragon who oversees all, or in my opinion, the Dragon Queen, or more accurately, her predecessor who maintained order within the world. With this, the kingdom of Aliahan could live wisely and achieve great success. This would also answer why the underground had a link to the castle. The king and his court would take great interest in such prophecy. It would also explain why the underground tunnel connected to every part of the land. People from all over the land could come to hear these words or even worship together. As for the Dreamer's origins, well, who knows? Some people in this world have the power to elongate their lives. Maybe he is simply a leftover of those who once inhabited this place. But Aliahan did fall, and the details of its glorious past are barely a memory. How did Aliahan, despite divine guidance, become a warring culture? I will propose two possible theories. The first is the betrayal of the divine theory. In this scenario, Aliahan began with good intentions and wise rulership. Having been blessed with the Dreamer's Tower, the people were guided into having good and blessed lives. However, in time, Aliahan in its riches grew arrogant and corrupt. Slowly, they shunned the words of their dragon overseer. They became a nation of conquest that ruled the entire world. And as we know, in time, judgment visited their land. An alternative scenario takes into account that divine dragons can be corrupted. We know that dragons have a lineage. They live, they die, and they leave behind an egg, whether it be the Dragon Queen's line or the Cloud's Gate Citadel line. The Egg Dragon, most likely the Dragon Queen's ancestor. As you can see, the Dragon Queen has underwent a major redesign, one that includes many aspects of the Elder Dragon, including that of an Yggdrasil leaf-shaped tail. According to them, even they can be corrupted and fall. The Dragon Lord, if he indeed is the child of the Dragon Queen, would be yet another example. Is it possible that in time, the very dragon who was watching over them succumbed to the darkness for whatever reason? Becoming corrupted, he led the prosperous Aliahan down a warlike path that led to it becoming the most dominant power in the world. This would certainly explain why the defeated Aliahan collectively would want to forget its past, because it is a reminder of the shameful past they had once gone down and long regret. And this concludes our look at the Dreamer's Tower, but not necessarily everything with Aliahan. Join us next time as, believe it or not, there is also evidence of divine intervention in the land of Romeria, where we will be discussing the mysteries of Skyfell Tower. Thank you for watching. Please like and comment to pump the channel up in the algorithm, and God bless you all.